Hi everyone, I'm Pete. I've been working on a test framework called Sweet, and I wanted to talk a little bit about why I made it and how to use it. So I've got a web development background. I started using tools like Jest and Cypress, and I just found I fell in love with them, and they really changed how I started writing my applications. Both native and for the web. Um, and so there's things like if I'm creating for example a React component, I want to be able to just work on that one component, make sure it's working as expected. And it's nice to use something like a CLI tool to do that, but I also want to be able to visualize, I want to be able to see it visually while I'm developing it. And so that yeah, so that's gonna it's sort of the two steps there. It's like one is to make sure that it works and make sure that when I make changes it doesn't break. But the other is just during development to make sure that it to as I make changes that it's doing what I expected it to do. So what I thought I'd do is I'd just spin up a new binary application and we'll just go through some of the steps in the README. Okay, so first of all, let's add Sweet to the cargo toml. So we're just adding Sweet as a dev dependency and also creating an example for a file that we're about to create. Let's call that test and Sweet.rs. I'm just going to copy and paste some of the examples from the README. So what we're doing here is we're using Sweet. Sweet's got its own main function. All that's going to do is it's going to collect all of the sweets, and and it's going to run them all. And so I'll just wait for the analyzer to spin up there. Once it does, we'll be able to run. As you can see, we've got our regular assertions. They're going to panic, and we'll see what that looks like. But we've also got these matches, which are sort of they're sort of a bit more specific to whatever type you're working with. For example, false is going to have have your IntelliSense for to be true, or some string is going to have start with or contains, that sort of thing. So let's see if we can get this running. I'm just going to go so cargo run example Sweet. It might block until the analyzer's done. Yeah, and as you can see, we've got this sort of you can have your knots, and this is all stuff that's pretty much taken exactly from Jest. And as you'll see, the runner looks just about identical. I found it just a really nice. I don't know if this is my OCD or something, but for me, I really like things to be visually beautiful as I'm working. Yeah, so I mean, so while you can use panics, or the irregular assertions, I'm sort of finding that the matches are going to produce a prettier output because we've got a bit more context. For example, uh, yeah, as we'll see here. So this is sort of just printed out. Oh, okay, we've got panic. It's sort of the Rust is doing the best it can do to give us some context, and it's being as pretty as it can. But if we use a matcher like, for example, false to be true, we've got a bit more. Oh, okay, so I expected true. We've got a bit more of a prettier output. So that's what it looks like when it fails. You can have a look at when it passes. It looks a bit nicer, of course. So you just got pass, all tests passed. Okay, and that's the nuts and bolts of the native runner. I guess the only other thing to say about that is if I was doing cargo watch, you can pass in the -w argument. That's gonna it's gonna clear the output on each run. It's just gonna be a little bit even prettier. But yeah, that's the main parts of native. But for me, the main motivation for this framework is UI development for the web. So So we've got things like WAS and bindgen test, which we're able to do our assertions in. But what I was really missing was something like Cypress, where you're able to interactively go through your suites, click on them, and say like, oh, okay, is this one working as expected? Has there been any visual regressions there, or like during development, is this I just want to work on this one component. So let's have a look at how that works. So first of all, you'll need to install the just this CLI. This is just this runner I'm using, or this tool I'm using. It does a couple of things. One is it's got a dev server with hot reload. So as you can see, it's got a couple of features there. You can run it in secure, HTTPS if you're wanting to test on your to test some of those web APIs that need that. Release mode or specify package. So there's some of those features that I found I was missing in a few other dev servers. And the other thing it does is it'll rebuild your test on change. So for example, we'll just go Forky Suite, and that's gonna build that up. And while it does that, I'm just gonna go through some of the web specific matches and how they can sort of look. So what I'll do is, I might not like this because we haven't added WebSys yet, but just to talk about it. So as you can see, we're just adding a header, without no framework or anything. Just create a header, and then expect L. That's basically like document.query selector. So that'll fail if it can't find the header, and then and that's going to return an element. So it'll be like to contain text, to contain HTML. Matches like that. Okay, so now that's built. So I haven't saved that, so we should just still be on the old test, which should be passing. So as you can see, we've got the sort of the main page, and then all of for each file that you've included, it'll be listed here in the suites. And so, okay, that's passing fine. But let's have a look at some of those web specific. Oh yeah, we haven't added WebSys. We just see those web specific matches working. Okay. So where are we? Okay. So now we've got our heading in there. That's passing. But for example, if we were expecting the H1 to have like some class, just like any query selector, that's just going to of course fail. And for me, I've been a real big fan of like how snappy the dev server is able to sort of get that done, and I'm finding it really really valuable for my own internal application development. I'm hoping that other people will find it valuable as well. You'll find me on the Discords for Leptos and Bevy at the moment. My handle is Mr. Chanty, and please get in touch if you have any feedback. I'd really love to hear from you.